Title Partner Coin DCX Industry, powered by Partner Coin Switch, brought to you by Partner Bit BNS, Platinum Partner Facebook, Knowledge Partner Global DCA, Insight Partner Ikigai Law. We are now moving on to the session on crypto assets, perception versus adoption. I would like to welcome and introduce to our speakers for this session Mr. George, Chief Operating Officer, Blocksize Capital GmbH, Mr. Vincent, Managing Director of International Operations, Huobi Global, Mr. Siddhartha, Partner Dua Associates. I would also like to welcome and then hand over the session to our moderator, Mr. Ajeet, Crypto Asset and Blockchain Expert. Over to you, Ajeet.
Thank you very much, Srishti, and welcome viewers, welcome everybody to what is going to be a very meaningful discussion. Today's topic for the people who are going to be part of this session is about perceptions and adoption. When you meet somebody who doesn't really understand crypto and you spend like 5 minutes explaining it to them, the first thing they say is, hey, are you saying that I'm going to buy coffee with Bitcoin? So that is where they are headed towards adoption. At the same time, if you talk to people, crypto is a little like the 9 blind men and the elephant. Some people think of crypto as money. A lot of people think of crypto as a speculative asset. Some people think of crypto as a problem. Some others think of crypto as a future, while some others think that crypto is soon going to be a matter of the past. So that is where perceptions come in. So today what we are going to do is I personally find myself woefully inadequate to introduce others because the essence is lost. So I will, as the speakers and guests come up, I will request them to do like a 30-second introduction. We have 40 minutes in front of us. And in these 40 minutes, we will spend close to 25 to 30 minutes presenting our thoughts on the relevant topic, and then spend about 10 odd minutes talking about picking up questions from the audience. I hope the other speakers will indulge me by allowing me to take questions even during the session as if it is relevant to what they have spoken. With that, what I'll do is I'll first go ahead and introduce myself, then invite the other two speakers who are already on stage to introduce themselves, and then we'll begin the discussion. As Srishti already told you, my name is Ajeet Khurana. I have been in the crypto space for the last 5 years, but in the startup space for my entire career. Been an entrepreneur twice, raised money for others, mentored, advised startups, been an angel investor since January of 1998. And recently, I have been associated with several crypto projects. Probably the most famous is called Matic, which is today called Polygon. Prior to that, I was CEO of a cryptocurrency exchange of Zeppe, which is one of the sponsors for this event. And then I have been, for a short stint, a CEO of IIT Bombay's Business Incubator and a whole other lot of other things, right? My education was as a computer engineer in Mumbai, and I did my MBA from the University of Texas at Austin. But that biodata aside, what attracts me most to this space is not just the roller coaster ride that the cryptocurrency prices seem to take. And if you missed the roller coaster, well, look at what happened about 14 hours ago, right?
I don't think anybody missed it.
Yeah. So I was talking to somebody and I was saying, Bitcoin is about $50,000. He said, no, I think it's 52. So we both went to see the price, and the price was 45. And we were like, I could swear that the price was 50, 51 just a few minutes ago. Having said that, this movement of the price, news that we read about in the news media, tends to get people have a certain perception of crypto, and this has led to accelerated adoption amongst those who want to speculate on the price, but also actually a discouragement to some others who may want to compare crypto to other asset classes and say, this does not seem right. So that is going to be the topic of discussion today. Let me begin by inviting both of the guests to spend 30 to 60 seconds introducing themselves. Then we will begin the discussion. Vincent, why don't we begin with you? Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. This is Vincent. I'm the managing director of Huobi Global, and I'm personally the Bitcoin and crypto believer. You're saying that there is like a roller coaster about the price. Okay, I didn't feel that indeed, because every time when it drops, I accumulate more, and then we we buy more in the downside and waiting for long-term growth. So it depends on the of course, some of the traders, they want to like trading for short-term profits, but I would say that this is a long-term investment. So that is a very good timing for us to accumulate more wealth by using crypto. And the other part is that I'm now developing the international market. Of course, the growth market included India, Turkey, Russia, European countries, etc. Then I'm responsible for everything about getting license to marketing to PR, everything that will be related to me. So very good chance to talk with you both. I hope we can discuss something and share with the public and make the adoption increase in a very make the education in a very good way. Thank you. We lost you because the sound.
I think you're muted.
This session.
I do that ritually because I think that increases the fun of online transactions. Thanks. Please go ahead and introduce yourself,
Okay.
sir. Would you please introduce yourself?
Hi, Ajeet. Siddhartha, I am not supposed to moderate this session. I'm really sorry. This will be a little bit awkward. I just got a request to enter backstage. I'll just clarify it with the, with Kalyan, and I'll get back. Sure.
I did not fully get it. Are you saying you want to moderate the session or you don't want to moderate the session? Okay, he's gone. So can you, sir, introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. So my name is Jörg Hansen. I'm in Frankfurt physically now at the moment. I work for a company called Blocksize Capital. We build industrial, basically financial industry infrastructure, because just like retail investors, every one of us, institutions also sometimes still struggle to tap these markets, and they lack the infrastructure to do so. Some of them build it themselves, whoever can afford it. Some are still looking for missing pieces. So what we basically do is we offer like a multi-plug for companies to tap into several exchanges at the same time, place their orders, and do all the reporting they need, and so on. So in a way, we are driving the institutional adoption of this, because there are several hurdles to institutional adoption of this asset class, which is sometimes regulatory. Especially in India, I guess this is a problem from time to time. There's ups and downs, but also infrastructural problems, because just like any one of us who has struggled to open a wallet and to manage funds, to handle fiat and to handle on-ramp, off-ramp, and all these issues, institutions face exactly the same problem, if not more severe, because of course there are bigger amounts involved and more risks involved. So we help across that hurdle. I used to be a private banker, investment banker, spent 20 years in Singapore. That's why my accent is a bit like on the Singlish side, whoever knows what that sounds like. I spent my time with Credit Suisse, Julius Baer. I was SVP with DBS Bank, which is also quite famous, I guess, in India. And then also basically took the plunge, because I gave up all these well-paying and high-level jobs to go into the tech industry. First on the, just like you, Ajeet, first on the financial side in raising funds and doing M&A and exits and these kinds of things, and then moving more and more into the day-to-day things. And just in those days, I just went into crypto. Right now, we are transitioning, or let's say we're adding on a lot of DeFi instruments as well, which is an interesting space. And I don't think it's necessarily competing, but it's synergistic to the whole space, and of course has a lot of potential as well, investment wise, as well as on the practical side. You just look at some of the projects. Very interesting.
So what I'm going to do is, Jörg, I'm actually going to begin my question as a continuation of what you said.
Yeah.
Let us talk about adoption, and because you work on the institutional side, let's talk about adoption on the institutional side. My experience from 3 years ago has been that when I would approach institutions for the technology, for the blockchain technology, a lot of them wanted to find out about tokenless blockchain, because tokens seem to be the problem, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
A lot has changed since then. So I think that for crypto or this entire blockchain paradigm to achieve its destiny, adoption is the key. As in, had nobody adopted Bitcoin, we would be nowhere. So,
Correct.
what have you seen this year versus 6 months back versus 12 months back? How is the trend of adoption moving in the institutional level? And I'm going to
Yeah.
come with the same question to you, Vincent, but on the retail level after your
Yeah. Yeah. Huge changes, huge changes. We see some very big names going into not hardcore crypto, but into projects like Chainlink, for instance, and Polkadot and ADA, Cardano, and so on, with practical use cases. Like our biggest telecoms provider in Germany, for instance, is cooperating with one of those projects. We've seen industrial companies looking at protocols that enhance the workings of IoT, because the IoT, Germany is a very car-heavy country, and IoT is very important for driving anything, autonomous driving, or where cars talk to each other and so on, securing the data, monetizing this data, or obtaining that data and feeding it into the DeFi space in the first place. All these are things that are actually now very much supported by the industry, like I said, by the car industry, by the telecoms industry, and so on. So I'm actually happy to see that it's not just banks and financial institutions and not just family offices and asset managers who drive this through the investment side of things, but that is actually driven through practical application. I think that proves the point that this is also part of the future of this.
Excellent. Matches with my experience also. Vincent, on the retail side or on the
totally
geographic
agree.
expansion side, since you are head of international operations, what have you seen as the trends in adoption levels over the last recent period?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I find that from the start of the year, okay, we are operating an exchange, then we can see a lot of data that are coming from the retail customers. Then, based on the Huobi Global's performance in India, our platform growth is very, very terrible. Indeed, we will see that robust growth in our users number in India since the start of the year. Okay, on a quarterly to quarterly basis, there is like already new users signed up already double up, and when we compare the quarter, then it's already up to 300%. Then active traders also increase a lot, like 3 times and 4 times. Then the total trading volume also increased by 100%. That is really a very amazing numbers. In the past 2 months, the daily active basis, then we have already given quite a lot of products like Huobi Earned, P2P, sports and futures, and Prime Pool as well. These kind of product already search for like 3 times to 5 times. Then seems like the Indians market really welcome our products, and they want to join in the Prime Pool, in the Huobi Earn to earn sustaining the growth interest. Indeed, yeah, that is what I observe.
So Vincent, I'll actually continue that thought forward. So when you gave all the growth numbers in volume and enrollments and sign-ups and whatever else, are people seeing cryptocurrency anything beyond a speculative asset, as in the general public who you interact with? Are they in it simply for price movement, or do they understand or perceive anything beyond that?
I think they start to learn from crypto, and then they want to know more about the underlying behind each crypto. So that's why we also see increasing number of visiting our Huobi Learn. We have a section called Huobi Learn, which is contributed to education, which is free of charge for Indians to learn more about what is the crypto exchange, what is a crypto, what is the blockchain industry, what is blockchain all about. This is what we included in the free educations. Then I see that, of course, some of the people want to speculate on certain kind of assets, but most of them, they want to learn about that. They want to having a like a long-term investment Indeed, there is like we have a Huobi learn, a Huobi earn. So giving that they have a steady growth on interest basis, something like a fixed deposit in
Got it.
crypto.
Got
Yeah,
it.
that is what we give them.
Got
That
it.
is
Or
really create a quick market on that.
correct. York, I'm coming to you. So, Vincent talked about the fact that some are looking at very speculative nature and some are long-term investors. But both of those buckets come into putting in $1 and hoping to get two in a certain time frame, whether it is in the next minute or in the next year is a separate matter. When you initiate your conversations with institutions, do you perceive, oh, sorry, do you think that they perceive crypto to be anything beyond a financial instrument?
Yes. I mean, depending a little bit on who you talk to. Of course, if you talk to a family office or an asset manager, obviously it's in their nature to look mostly at the asset class as such, and then probably also concentrate on the top five main coins or main assets, and not so much on the DeFi space. But when we talk to people who are more into look more at alternative coins, smaller projects, or upcoming projects, fast developing projects, those are usually the ones that have understood the underlying potential as well. And I'm actually quite amazed that, of course, from time to time, like everybody else, I also go and watch YouTube videos of people who are talking about projects and so on, who have no technical background and also who are not investment professionals. And they do try to understand, the potential behind Ethereum, for instance, beyond just being an investor, like, the recent fork and so on, the technical aspects as much as they can. And I think, to be fair, a lot of people in the traditional investment space, when they invest in stocks or whatever, also don't really do in-depth fundamental analysis, but rely mostly on technical analysis, and they understand it more or less. They understand the brand and what the company does, and then the rest is sort of charts and so on. What worries me a little bit more is that people with not a lot of deep understanding leverage very high, and we saw the result of this. That's why we see so much. The volatility still being quite high, because I think the generic adoption of people who are genuinely long-term believers and believe in the long-term potential are still outweighed by those who seek short-term opportunities and leverage that. And I think that is still something that needs to develop in the market. But of course, it comes with positive aspects as well, like a good upside. Where can you get this much upside if you manage it well with stop losses and other instruments? Of course, then you can capture that as well. Yeah, but I think some of the projects are difficult to understand, even for me, and I'm not 100% technical, but some of it is a bit esoteric, and I think there's only so deep you can go, and the rest is up to the future. Nobody knows who will win, or how these protocols will collaborate, and who will develop and who will be left behind.
Yeah, so, since we are focusing on adoption and perception, here is something interesting which has already happened in this discussion, and it happens all the time, that when you meet people who have been in this space for some time, they characterize themselves as being believers in crypto. Now, usually you believe in God, you believe in a philosophy, right? For example, I have not seen anybody who says, I believe in equity shares, or I believe in real estate. They may be optimistic about real estate or gold or silver, but it is not a belief system. Is it possible that we are still in the phase a decade later where the people who are in the crypto space are still like this fringe set of groupies who have created their own world, and to be adopted in the rest of the world, we will need to start engaging with people a little more differently? This is open to both of you, whoever wants to take it.
I just quickly want to say that I think for some of us who work in this space, it comes to that level that we don't even care about the price developments in the markets anymore, because I can see which big names and big companies are working with these things, and they don't care whether Bitcoin or Ether drops or not. The long term, I think we've gone beyond that, and a lot of people just concentrate on making this work in the long term, and that decentralized finance comes through, and that many of these projects develop their potential. I think we are very seeing these kinds of people who are sort of immune against all these ups and downs on the surface, those wavy movements that you see, the charts and all this, is very good. So there are a lot of people who are long-term adopters, and frankly speaking, I feel the genie is out of the bottle. It won't go back. It's just a question of how fast and how quickly it will go and how high it will go. Yeah.
Vincent, to nuance this question or this discussion further, right since day one, when people have tried to explain crypto to others, they tend to say things like it is digital gold or it is cryptocurrency. The word cryptocurrency was not written by Satoshi Nakamoto. That paper does not use the word cryptocurrency, by the way, or it's cryptocurrency, or it's the future of money. So what is happening is that we explain crypto by taking examples of other assets. The moment we do that, we will fall short, because gold will always have some characteristics which are different. I'm not talking of better or worse, but different than crypto. Equity shares or shares in the stock market will have some characteristics which are different. So I feel that while it becomes easier to understand crypto when you compare it to other classes, but it also does a huge disservice because the uniqueness of crypto is not captured. So if today, Vincent, I were to approach you and I say, I really want to know about crypto, but I don't know anything, how would you approach this in today's world where, you don't have to really start from zero?
Okay. I do think that crypto is like financial tools. So usually when we deal with financial tools, there is always a trust issue. Okay, for example, like when we are doing when we are watching the crypto trend, right? Volatilities of the crypto increase the risk usually, then because they treat that as like in financial instruments. Of course, that is like if they want to assess these like currencies, then they need to do more research before investing. Then everyone is like comparing all of the financial tools. But when you see there is like a lot of like crypto and a lot of crypto companies, they are getting in the market. Then there is those leaders, quite a lot of brands, they get into the NFT market. Right, a lot of brands, they already take blockchain and then they issue their own coins to to fine tune their whole operation flow. And also like some of the country, you will see that they use crypto as partial of the salary. Right, there is a lot of adoption already in place, and at the same time, in different countries, they use crypto as a payment. They can pay for fast food. They can pay for restaurants. They can pay for like buying and real estate. So there's quite a lot of adoption already in place. Then why don't you believe it?
What we will do is we will not talk of El Salvador, because that there's legal tender, right? So that is a little self-serving. But I'll give you an example. There is a popular tourist destination in India called Goa. And when I was staying in North Goa, I found that almost every small restaurant said that Bitcoin accepted here. And I was quite fascinated by it, but I tried to put it to the test. And I showed up at one of them and I said, I would like to pay by Bitcoin, right? And he said, I'll have to call my cousin because he knows how to do that. So while the understanding of crypto is now quite prevalent, nobody has not heard of it, but taking your point forward, its usage as a medium of exchange, as currency, which is what you referred to, Vincent, to purchase goods, it has started happening for sure. But are you seeing a strong growth? Because at least as a user, I have found that there is very little growth. There are opportunities, but people aren't really spending crypto.
I think that depends on which region. Huobi already developed in different regions, and we find that, for example, in the Southern American countries, they already having BTC and ETH as their official fiat. Okay?
In Africa, I guess.
Yeah, Africa as well. Yeah, you're correct. So these two regions that we discover that they are already in the market, and then they want this crypto as one of the currency. Okay, that is already in place. So I think it's already going in a very fast place. Of course, there is a lot of regulation in different countries. They want to regulate it because they want to like participate in the market, and they want to really regulate it to let all the retail users with the education to protect them. Yeah, that is what they thought. Yeah.
Yeah. So while I want to move to the regulation end of the piece, because the adoption as well as perception at the regulator and government end is going to be a very big, important milestone for the growth of this sector. And the opposite could also come true, that if some governments start becoming very, very anti-crypto, that could be a problem. But before that, just to conclude this, my perception has been that people who purchase crypto using fiat, that is, the on-ramp method, are almost always doing it for the purpose of making a financial gain. And it is only when people start earning fiat crypto, that means not converting fiat to crypto, but when they start earning crypto, they would find it quite easy also to spend crypto.
Yeah,
right?
like with Axio in the Philippines, where a lot of people in the street play the game, then earn coins, then spend those coins, and nobody has been pushing that actively. It's just something that naturally evolved through several mechanisms, and I'm happy to see that it's actually naturally adopted, not pushed by anybody.
Absolutely. I think that is a good one. And moving now to the next part of our discussion. Before that, I would like to tell all our viewers that I have just placed a little poll, a yes and no poll, which you may be able to see probably on the right side of your screen, just to get to know our audience better. I have simply asked you whether you have ever purchased crypto with a yes or a no. So please find your way to the poll. So you do that. But now moving to the regulation, government policy, etc. I'll begin with an Indian example, that the first utterance by the government relating to crypto. We have a central banker who has been warning people for many years now. But the first utterance by the government was in February of 18, where their emphasis was that they would ensure that cryptocurrency cannot be used as currency, namely in the payment system. Of course, issues related to consumer protection and preventing it from being used for illegitimate purposes are, I think, very fair, and all governments have done that. But when it comes to regulators, they have concerns, right? From capital flight, depending on which country it is, tax evasion, consumer protection, fraud, etc. So on that front, that means how governments are looking at cryptocurrency. I will bring in the Indian perspective after I hear from you. But what have been your perspectives? And this is to both of you.
Okay, I think compliance is very important in all over the world. As I said, that it is to protect the retail users. Of course, at this stage, a lot of the retail users are still learning from crypto. So keeping up their India's financial regulation is important, but can be challenging since India does not have a well-defined law for it right now. So we think that a standard compliance policy, we still have to carefully look, not to overlook the important policy. Indeed, I do think that compliance in the government is helping the development of the cryptocurrency, which is included, of course, ourselves like a crypto exchange. That is what I think.
Right. George, what have you seen when interacting with government, regulators, policymakers, etc.?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think good regulation and the emphasis on good and informed regulation and not knee-jerk anti-regulation is actually good for the space, and it's good for adoption because there needs to be a certain level of protection, and we need to make sure that we don't get into areas like money laundering and bad uses of these assets. So actually, it's good. And in Germany, there are many ways we interact with the government, and we consult and we form the process. So I think that's the best way. And the governments in Europe have understood that the best way to is not to just say no and to try and block it, but to shape the process together with everybody. Because you can't roll back the development. If you just completely forbid it, it will go underground. And the best way is basically to shape a win-win solution for everybody, you know, so that the government gets their taxes and make sure that this doesn't get misused. But on the other hand, we harness the potential as well. So this has been working very well. Actually, 2 days ago, there was actually a law in Germany, a new law released that regulates crypto funds and so on. So we are already quite ahead, and we have like young people working in government who understand the technology, who understand the potential, and who also know that if they just block this, we might miss the train on the next wave of digital development in the world. You know, so this is very critical. Yeah. So informed and proactive and constructive regulation is very good for this space.
So informed and constructive regulation, of course, absolutely. But I must also tell you that in many territories, and India was in that space a few years ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago, where we were saying, give us some regulation, as in don't be silent, don't at least acknowledge my existence. And maybe such regulations begins are a little more stringent, which we have seen in other sectors. But there's a question coming in from one of our viewers, whose name is Majid Al-Kausi. So today, if you were to look at any of the popular databases available for crypto, we seem to have about 11,500, probably 11,700 tokens, which have been traded recently. Several of these are traded every second and every minute. Some of them may be traded every day. I get the feeling that the world does not need 11,700 tokens, but the point isn't the exact number, because somebody could say 5, somebody could say 500. The point is that we are finding that a lot of technologies in the decentralized finance space, in the non-fungible token space, and various other, let's say, launch pads, lending protocol, prediction markets, etc., they are all clones of each other. They are all the same. The last time I saw so many clones coming up was when the e-commerce companies were booming, where everybody was setting up yet another e-commerce company, beginning the late 90s and lasting for about a decade after that, depending on which part. So what is going to happen? Now I'm moving to the perception, the last part of today's talk. We have talked about the perception of the retail customer. We have talked about the perception of the regulator, government, policymaker, the perception of industry. How is industry viewing this? Are they also viewing this as a gold rush and a land grab, that just go and offer the most generic open source solution and capture your land, as opposed to a lot of creativity and innovation coming up? How are you viewing the evolution of the industry? Why don't we let Vincent take this? Vincent, go with it, please.
I think the industry is keeping evolving. More of the partners are cooperating with each others. Then they create a new atmosphere, and some of the the society, and also in with the government official as well. They are talking with the market to understand more about the technology and how the technology can help to monitor, to contribute to the society. That is what we are doing right now, and this also can pave the way for the more adoption in the place that like helping the government to schedule the regulation at the same time improving the adoption. Yeah. So of course the industry players are already paying the attention to all of them, all of these that may be affecting crypto industry development in long term. Yeah. And we are also scheduling like some meetings that we need more contributors to let us know what the industry is doing right now. And of course we are welcome for like cooperation with different kind of blockchain companies that we can contribute, we can change the market together. Yeah, that is what. Yeah.
So Jorg, you should know that since we started talking about 35 minutes ago, the price of Bitcoin has fallen by $500. What did you guys say that has caused that? As in, I just went and saw the prices, but in the last 40 minutes, they've gone down about $500. But that joke apart, a lot of people whenever I start talking to them about cryptocurrency and I show them this new decentralized world, a democratic world, and then I wait for them to ask questions, they turn around and say, "Hey, can you tell me what the price of Bitcoin will be in the year from now?" And I'm like, "Wait a second, what were we talking about?" So I'm going to ask for your predictions, but not about price. I'm going to ask for your predictions about perception as well as adoption. The last 12 months, maybe 12 to 18 months, COVID era has seen dramatic growth in the adoption and positive perception of crypto, barring exceptions. So, Jorg, as well as Vincent, as your last words, as we are few minutes away from the close of this session, and Srishti from IMI has shown up to ensure that we do not take even a minute more than we are due. So,
Thank you
Jorg,
for that.
first you, then Vincent, you predict what the next 1 month, sorry, 1 year and 5 years look like to you in terms of adoption as well as perception.
I mean, if you look at all the adoption cycles, the nice graphs, where we are still at the very beginning. Still at the very beginning. So I'm a firm believer that there's a way to go for a lot of things. And another thing I want to say is, if you look for things to invest or that are interesting, look for the things that are interoperable. We're not looking for the next killer of something else. We are looking for something that cooperates with as much other stuff out there as possible. This is the future, because this space is about cooperation, not about killing anybody else. So I think for anybody who's looking for projects, look at those things.
Fantastic. Before I come to Vincent, so viewers, I must tell you that Jorg has given you great advice and also refrained from naming projects. Of course, that is a reasonable thing to do. But with all of us who are reeling under the gas fees that we are paying in every transaction, finding a killer of some of these tokens might not be an unpleasant idea to begin with. Vincent, what do you think? How are you seeing the adoption as well as perception evolving in the next 1 year time frame as well as 5 year time frame?
Okay. I believe that I also agree with you, and this is a very early stage for crypto right now, and we find that it's still the growth rate is so strong, and we find the data is that many of the retail users start using our platform to trade, and they want to learn more about crypto. That is what I see. And then of course, like in my opinion is that crypto, even though BTC right now is like the early stage, we keep on investing on that, and that will have a lot of like advancement, right, in Ethereum stage, in Savannah, in of course they quite a lot of mathematics. Then they have a lot of like development, even though in our in BSC, in Hacko, then we want to like having a cross chain development which can help their adoption, which we can do more about to cooperate with the local players. I have heard of a lot of cooperation right now, and there is like for the daily necessities, they can buy it by crypto. For example, they can buy in some e-commerce site. They can buy in like paying the utility, something like that. There is a lot of cooperation is going on. So for 1 year, I do think that we can see it in a very short period of time, but I always say that 1 year in crypto is it's very long already. There's quite a lot of trends. We talk about DeFi, right? And we mentioned about that. Of course, there is like another new trend is called NFT, right? We didn't spend time on that. So, but still, that is helping the more industry for the adoption. I do think that these two trends, DeFi and NFT, will be going very, very good way in the coming 5 years. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks for that. As a closing remark, what I would say is that when I would be talking to journalists 4 years ago, the one question they would all ask me is, what is the underlying value of crypto? Another thing that they would say is that some people say that crypto is going to become zero. How likely is that? Very interestingly, in the last year or so, nobody has asked me that. And I'm today doing more interviews than I was doing 4 years ago. So there has definitely been an evolution in how crypto is perceived. And I feel that if when we all have the same meeting, all the same faces again, let's say another 3-4 years down the line, a lot of things that people are talking about today, we would not be talking about, as this toddler who has now become an infant, who has become a toddler, will start looking more like a teenager. And I look forward to that date. Thank you very much, York, for being on
Thank you.
this
Thank you.
panel discussion. Thank you very much, Vincent. Srishti,
Thank
I
you so
hope
much.
you are impressed by how precisely to the second we kept up with this session, and we have finished exactly at the time that you wanted. Thank you, Srishti.
Definitely, definitely.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
So
everyone.
that
Thanks,
was
Vincent.
really
Stay in touch.
Thanks.
thank you, everyone. That was really an insightful session, and I believe that all of us had certain key takeaways from it. I would like to thank all the speakers for sparing time to have this highly commendable talk. Another thank you goes to all our attendees who are here with us today. Thank you so much, everyone. We will be back soon. Stay tuned.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Good.
Mostly.